Greetings, family, and welcome to the Us Lifting Us Economic Development Cooperative Presentation and Training. I'm your host, Brother DJ, along with Baba Hekima Kenyama. Greetings, Baba. How you doing?
Doing great, man. I heard the music.
I wasn't quite sure if that was up tempo enough, but it definitely is definitely a change from what we used to play. And so hopefully, it got us a little bit closer to the mark. I won't wait for your answer. I'll continue to talk.
Thank you, brother.
So, again, greetings to the family, those of you who are listening in online, and those of you who are already calling in to the switchboard. For those of you who want to be a part of the conversation tonight that are listening in online, you can give us a call at 319-527-6202. Again, that's 319-527-6202. This is a 2-hour broadcast, again, brought to you by Us Lifting Us Economic Development Cooperative by way of the Motherland Media Network. And this is a broadcast that we do every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time in an effort to really familiarize prospective ULU members with our brand of cooperative economics, or what we refer to as family-centered economics. So, again, it's a 2-hour broadcast. The first hour is hosted by myself along with Baba Hekima, and we go into the fundamental aspects of not only Us Lifting Us, but cooperative economics in general. We have a conversation, an hour-long conversation, where we go into the details of our organization and the unique opportunities that it presents for yourself, your family, as well as our overall community. And then at the top of the hour, at 10 o'clock, we kind of switch gears and bring in 2 additional board members where they walk us through a document that we refer to as our 10-point appeal and plan for the new black economy. They take the time to read through all 10 points and begin a conversation around one specific point where, again, they hammer down into the details of that specific point. And so both conversations are intended to be interactive. So at any time you may have a question or a comment, feel free to push the number 1 on your phone, push the number 1 on your keypad, and it will highlight your phone number, and we'll open up your line to allow you an opportunity to ask a question or give a comment. Again, simply push the number 1 on your phone whenever you have a question or you want to be a part of the conversation, and we'll open up your line to allow you an opportunity to ask a question or give a comment. And again, the purpose of this call is to really inform and educate and inspire those of us who are not only active members of ULU, but those who maybe have been told about ULU from a family member, a friend, or a coworker, and felt inspired enough to come on this call today and receive the information. So we hope that you hear something that, again, inspires you to take action, and that's to join ULU. And then of course, we'll go into what that means in our conversation with Baba Hekima this evening. Baba Hekima, did you have anything you wanted to add before we get started with our talk tonight?
Yeah, I just want to join with you and welcome in brothers and sisters onto the call and onto the show. As always, we want to encourage each one of you to visit our website, and in particular, go through a basic presentation of ULU from our homepage. There are 3 videos. The top video is the one that we really want to focus on. It's about a 17-minute video, and it covers in detail, our plan. And in addition to that, there's a link below that video that if you request additional information at that link, we'll send you out our operating agreement, our values and ethics document, and provide a link where you can review the current member owner list. But it's important that brothers and sisters who come to this call, if they have the opportunity, to first go through that presentation so that they're prepared to kind of follow us here on Thursday evening and ask the questions that would give them a greater understanding of ULU.
Outstanding, outstanding. And so again, family, at any time you may have a question, press the number 1 and we'll open up your line to allow you an opportunity to ask a question or give a comment. And so we'll get started with our conversation tonight, family. And I'm going to kind of, throw a different question at you, a little bit different than we usually start the broadcast. And I want to ask you, Baba Hekima, for the sake of folks who may be listening in for the very first time, give us or describe what is the relationship between economics and liberation. Of course, we know that Us Lifting Us comes out of very clear political intent to build, a world-class African institution to serve as a catalyst to liberate us economically. But can you describe to us that relationship between economics and liberation that really is a catalyst for what we do within Us Lifting Us?
Well, thank you for the question. I understand where you're going. When we talk about liberation, we're really talking about social liberation. And there are essentially 3 components. There's your economics, your politics, and your culture. And to have a well-rounded situation. And really they're woven one into the other. You can't really separate them. But in terms of our struggle in this century and in the previous century, particularly those of us living in spaces that you would call settler colonies, the extensions of Europe, for those of us here in America in particular, our struggle has been, for the most part, focused on politics and what we would call culture, self-expression, self-determination, self-assertiveness, and politics, pressuring the powers that be to modify policy, law, the way we are treated so that it would better accommodate us and create a better atmosphere for just existing. There's always been an economic component to our struggle, and we know about that. In particular, if brothers and sisters will go to our website and click on our YouTube channels, you'll see several videos that speak to our history as it relates to the co-op movement, all the way back to before emancipation. So economics has always been a part of it, but in recent years, we've dealt more with politics and in general, and in specific with electoral politics, electing persons to the mayor's position, city council, county board of supervisors, to Congress and the like, and in rare cases to statewide positions in the states wherein we resided. So the whole question of African liberation or liberation for our people, essentially the leading edge of it is political, because you want to replace the paradigm or the condition in which you find yourself in. And but when we study even the successful transitions, whether we call them revolutions or liberation struggles, yes, indeed, we would call them that. But if we look at Ghana, we look at South Africa, we look at Tanzania, the political and the social aspects of the struggle were fairly successful. Where the problem came into was in the economic areas. how it is that we feed ourselves, clothe ourselves, house ourselves, and be in control of the modes of production. And in some cases, the agriculture, the mining, the shipping, the forestry, all the other things. And so when we, there's some background noise. I'm not sure where that's coming from. But anyway, we'll continue with it. But when we talk in these discussions on Thursdays and talk about ULU being a tool of African liberation, and knowing that we're talking about ULU being a business formation, what we're doing is recognizing that as a people seek to change and improve their social condition overall, in many cases, we're talking about economic factors that determine the quality of life, gainful employment, entrepreneurship, a vibrant business sector in the community in which they live, and the reverse of being dominated and economically exploited. In other words, us being having some control over the economics of our own community. And so in the current times where economics has really been elevated and spoken of more often than in previous periods, sometimes we think that the rhetoric seems to be that if you can get X number of people into business and X number of people supporting those business, then that by itself is liberation. And, of course, we know that's not. Because, again, it's economics, it's politics, and it's culture. So, in general, we feel that it's imperative that as we structure our movement forward towards liberation, that we give adequate attention and energy and resources to the economic component. And I think overall, it would be fair to say that the planet, for the most part, recognizes the valiant struggle of African people, the struggle of Africans in America in terms of the civil rights movement, the Black Power movement, the Pan-Africanist movement. But in almost every phase and at every time, when we looked at that struggle, the economic component was probably the weakest thing or the weakest aspects of our national struggle and our global struggle. And so to end it, I guess I would say that, I don't know where it came out, and you'll chuckle when I say this, but there's a saying in our culture that there's no romance without finance. And I'll just simply say that the liberation, that there's no liberation without adequate attention and having addressed the economic component. And it doesn't mean that every organization or institution has to give primary attention to the economic component. I think we have to have it within our mindscape. But, of course, ULU focuses on economics primarily as our primary focus. And but hopefully that begins to cover what I think you were asking.
It certainly does, and I would follow up with I guess this question in our conversations around economics and black business entrepreneurship, the state of Black America, so to speak. whenever we broach the conversation of black business, black economics, oftentimes cooperatives and the power of cooperatives are not even a part of the conversation. Of course, we know that, that is a big error. But for those who may be on the call for the first time listening in, why would that be an error if and when cooperatives are left out of the mix in terms of, black liberation, black economic development, black entrepreneurship, in that whole mix?
Yeah, I agree with your sentiment that it is an error to leave co-ops and cooperative economics out of the discussion. A lot of times, and I would say most often when we think about co-ops, we really don't think about them at the size and scale that would make a difference. We think about a credit union here and there. We think about a food co-op or a buying club, something very small, maybe providing a needed good product, service, with a great atmosphere, but not in the context of power, not in the context of liberation. But what's evolving on the planet now are large-scale cooperative ventures that do business in the aggregate in the billions of dollars, that create and sustain hundreds of thousands of jobs and represent a credible sector of the economies where these co-ops exist. So in the U.S., as opposed to even Canada or Italy or Spain, some of the other countries, even some South American countries, Argentina, for instance. So in America, co-ops have not been that big, but we're in an area where they are, and ULU has taken the leadership in asking brothers and sisters in the African community, in the black community, to consider co-ops in the context of power building, and think of them not as small things, but think of them as big things that could grow into, again, scales that would rival large corporations, large multinational, international corporations. And so as we formulate strategies for victory, for advancing the aims of our people, for advancing our cause, it would be a terrible mistake to not think of group-owned enterprises, because I dare say that it's going to be more difficult to grow to the scale that we need to grow with entrepreneurship and black business ownership being fragmented as it naturally is. It's its nature to be fragmented. We need, in addition to entrepreneurship and black business ownership, we need a sector or a part of the economies and the business landscape in our local communities to be group-owned and large, encompassing in a local area where thousands of people belong to a business platform that controls considerable interests, real estate, business presence, commerce in the local community, such that it's large enough that it can have an impact in terms of policy making, in terms of the other aspects of the culture and the social life of the community. And so ULU takes the leadership again in getting us to consider what it would mean to have hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands and eventually millions of us engaged in commerce together from the standpoint of having the same overall objective and being in a position to benefit from the overall success and to strategically create a specific benefit for community. So again, I appreciate the question, and I think it's the responsibility of black leadership to look at alternative economic models. I think we do ourselves a disservice when we only look at what we've always done. And so we're asking people to look at co-ops on steroids. In other words, building large co-ops. You can run a steel mill with a co-op. I mean, you can run, you can run shipping lines with co-ops. There's nothing that you can't do with co-ops. It's just a different business format. So I agree that we need to incorporate co-ops in our thinking, break out of this notion that co-ops always have to be small. They don't have to be small, and dedicate ourselves to building the technology, the skills to actually build them, co-ops and group-owned enterprises to the scales that it would be the leading edge, or let's say part of the leading edge of our social movement for liberation.
Yes, you mentioned, Baba Hekima, the fractured nature of the black economy. What does ULU intend to do to solve or remedy that fractured state of our economy? What is ULU's intent to solve that particular issue?
Well, typically, in any capitalist country, you have the drive for there to emerge many entrepreneurial efforts, hundreds, thousands, millions of businesses. And typically what happens to get consolidation or to get centralization, some of the institutions get big enough to buy out the other ones, and they, the big fish gobble up the little fish, and so you emerge with some huge enterprises, and in some cases it's an imbalance because their leverage becomes to the disadvantage even of the society in which they operate. But as it relates to our community, we don't see that occurring where the big fish gobbles up the little fish. Most of us stay little, and if there's any gobbling to do, there are forces from outside of our community that come into our community and gobble those up. And so what I would say is that in order to create a more stable economy, we do need some large enterprises. And we think that those large enterprises, that it would be best for them to be group-owned as opposed to large enterprises owned by an individual or a few individuals, even if they come from our community. We think we favor a group-owned component. Think of America with all mom-and-pop businesses and no bigger businesses. Mom-and-pop businesses are not able to run railroads. They're not able to fly airlines. They're not able to do some of the things that need to be done in the overall society. So you do need businesses that acquire a certain level of scale and muscle, so to speak. We think that can come about in the black community through growing group-owned enterprises. And we don't often talk about it. We often speak of ULU opening and running for-profit co-op businesses, and the picture is painted that these are startups, that these are new businesses, start from scratch. That's probably not going to be the way it looks. ULU will probably acquire other businesses as well, especially businesses that you would consider medium-sized or large-sized businesses. And so we favor and we look forward to ULU, or if there are other group-owned experiments or entities that emerge, then we wish the same for them, that they would follow the path that I'm speaking of. So, to round it out, I'm saying that the economic landscape of our community is fragmented, and the primary reason for that is that very few businesses have grown to a scale where they are manufacturing. For instance, we see brothers and sisters marketing products, goods, and services in the community. It may be a toothbrush, it may be toilet paper, it may be a laundry detergent, it may be any number of things. And that's important, and that's impressive. But when you dig into it a little deeper, in many cases, the product are actually being manufactured. Sometimes as far away as China, and simply the packaging reflects our culture. But the raw materials, the machinery, the production capacity, the shipping, the packaging, and all of that is pretty much controlled by other communities. And so we feel that our community is in desperate need of a business platform, a business infrastructure, a way of pooling our resources that can, yes, do commerce at the ma and pa level, but at other levels as well, and eventually produce financial institutions and insurance institutions. I guess those would be in the financial realms as well, and other institutions of large scale. I mentioned this a few times. I mentioned it quite a few times in recent conversations. When I moved to Georgia in 1981 from Wisconsin, there was a black airline that was flying out of Hartsfield Airport. I don't know if it was Jackson Hartsfield at that time, but out of the local airport here in Atlanta. The name of the airline was Atlanta Air. It was a budget airline. I'm not sure how long it flew, a couple of years or whatever. But the important thing about it is that the brothers and sisters were thinking big, and they had the backing of North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company out of Durham, North Carolina, that at one point in its history was the largest black corporation in the world, and certainly was the largest black insurance company in America. And so we need to incubate those situations as well and support them and grow them so that not everything we're doing is at a very small scale. So in terms of balance and fragmentation, we need large, medium, and small enterprises, and we need a sector or section of the black economy that can do business internationally on a global scale and involve millions of people as stakeholders. So that would be what I would say on that for that question.
Well, we certainly thank you for that, Baba Hekima. And as we continue to move forward, Family, if you have any questions for Baba Hekima, you can give us a call at 319-527-6202. Again, that's 319-527-6202. And this broadcast is brought to you by Us Lifting Us Economic Development Cooperative Presentation and Training. I'm Brother DJ, and again, we have Brother Baba Hekima on the line, and he's walking us through the fundamental aspects of not only cooperative economics, but more specifically, Us Lifting Us, and what is it that it can do for you as an individual, your family, as well as your community. And we certainly invite you to listen in and be a part of the conversation. If you have a question for us at any time, simply push the number 1 on your phone, and it will highlight your number, and we'll open up your line to allow you an opportunity to ask a question or give a comment. So, Baba Hekima, let's go ahead and start drilling down into the unique aspects of Us Lifting Us. Of course, ULU is unique in that it is a for-profit limited liability company. And so, explain to us why we chose that particular incorporation and what advantages does it give us in our organizing efforts.
We started in 2011 really studying a way to aggregate our resources and build an economic platform that would empower us as a people. And of course, we started thinking about co-ops, and we studied different co-op models around the world. And one of the things we determined very early is that we could not build to scale to the size that we wanted to unless we broke out of the box. And so breaking out of the box for us was to form a co-op in terms of its function, but using as a legal tool the limited liability company. We just stumbled upon that as we were doing our research. We found that throughout the world, there were many people that were using LLCs to build co-ops and to build for-profit co-ops. And so we engaged a law firm and went through a fairly extensive exercise and built a 22-page document that lays out the essence of ULU. And of course, when we talked a little earlier this evening, Brother DJ, you talked about liberation. We knew that anything that we did was going to need to serve the interests of our people overall. We weren't interested in a co-op for any narrow purposes. And so what we ended up doing, and I'll take this opportunity to point it out, what we ended up doing is creating a legal structure that's global, that can accommodate hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of individuals and institutions in one entity, a group-owned entity that can manage and that will manage in its portfolio hundreds and eventually thousands of businesses and do millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, eventually billions of dollars a year in commerce, locally and globally. And so the essence of ULU is the structure, legally and operationally, that will allow us to incrementally build larger and larger capacity to have a predictable impact in our local communities and link those local communities one to the other and also link those local communities in America to other communities throughout the world. So the essence of ULU, for the brother or sister who's looking at ULU for the first time, or maybe you've looked at it and maybe you missed it, is that, and this is not something that we're going to do. This is something that we've already done, is to put the infrastructure in place. We're simply building it out now. The system, the infrastructure, the grid, essentially the paradigm, this model has been constructed, and what we do now is share this with brothers and sisters and ask brothers and sisters to take a hard look. Now, obviously, when you look, you're looking at something that you haven't seen before. We've seen co-ops before, but we've never seen a co-op structured to accommodate the kinds of numbers and the kind of volume and be international at the same time that ULU is. And now, in terms of some of the mechanics, members can be individuals, married couples, or institutions. Members do not have to be U.S. citizens. There's no limit to the number of members. Members and only members can acquire equity in the company and qualify for profit sharing. One of the things we knew we had to answer very early is the question, what's in it for me? You know, it's one thing for us to donate or contribute to a cause, and we do it all the time, and we will continue to do it. But to sustain that over years and over generations, you must establish a benefit-rich process. And so in addition to creating jobs, providing needed goods and services, to being able to contribute to charity, we thought it important and possible and practical and ongoing that we also build into the process a way for individuals and institutions to receive a portion of the surplus, of the profits. Now, obviously, we're not talking about getting individuals rich, but we're talking about getting the community rich, and in the process, as individuals and organizations who participate and purchase or secure equity, a reasonable return on what it is that they have contributed to the process. And so that's the essence of ULU as a international group-owned enterprise that has its tentacles and will have its tentacles in many, many local areas, not only in the urban areas, but also in the rural in America and also in other parts of the world. I just said it before I stop, DJ. From our website, from our homepage, if you click Join and read the application for membership, it's more than an application. It's an application and an agreement, because there's certain things that you are agreeing to or affirming. And also, if you want to and if you request, we can put in your hands before you actually become a member our operating agreement, so you see exactly the structure, the process for managing, for running the institution. I'll stop there, Brother DJ. I may not have covered what you wanted me to cover in that span.
No, you most certainly did, and I would just kind of continue on, in that same vein, and ask you, talk to us about the types of members that we have within the ULU family. We have a very diverse mix of brothers and sisters in our formation already. And when we, discuss cooperative economics or family-centered economics, it's important for us to let the family know, those that are members and also prospective members, it's not an either-or kind of thing. It's both and. So if you don't mind, Bobby Kima, go ahead and describe to us the types of brothers and sisters that are already a part of the ULU family. And what is it that, that the vision entails that attracts them in the first place?
Yeah. And I don't know that I've ever expressed this, Brother DJ. Maybe I have, but maybe not on the call. Our membership and owner list is really a beautiful example of unity. We got old heads, we got middle-aged people, we got youth. When you look down the list, you see people who are in business for themselves, and so they join as businesses. You see other institutions join as institutions, some savings association, some movement organizations. For instance, the Olentunji Village is a member. We have members in 7 or 8 countries, 8 at a minimum, really, countries scattered throughout, some from Europe, East Africa, West Africa, the Caribbean. And so the platform was created so that any individual, any institution that considered itself a part of the black community and could affirm and show that it is, could be a part. A church can be a member. A sorority can be a member. The Black Firefighters Association, the Black Association of Psychologists could be a member. The Lawyers Association could be a member. And so when you look down our list, you'll see that kind of diversity. And it's really a beautiful thing, because as we grow and grow into the tens of millions, and not necessarily tens of millions, but tens of thousands of members, the idea here is that if we would imagine a local community that's, let's say, predominantly black, predominantly African, no matter how small it is, it may be just a section of a city that's identified as the hood, so to speak, or the conscious community, or however it's designated. Think of, in our mind's eye, think of a fourth or third or sixth or an eighth of the business enterprises in that area being part of a process like ULU, where they are co-ops, but that they're owned by people, diverse people in the community. Some of the owners would be churches, members of a church. Some of the owners would be professionals, teachers, lawyers, whatever, because we wanted to have a scenario where there's a term that I'm very familiar with because of my background, political background, and many brothers are familiar with the slogan, free the land. What if free the land really meant 10 square blocks in Philadelphia, or in Baltimore City, or in D.C., or in Southwest Atlanta, where we own and run a good bit of the business stock in that community, and that the businesses that are co-op owned have a good relationship with the other businesses in that zone, and that because part of the mix is group-owned, so you have many of the residents in that community or in that area actually being owners and stakeholders. And they know that when they walk past the business, when they go in the business, that it's theirs. They know it, their children know it, everybody in the community knows it. And so when they go to the PTA meeting, they don't go as members of a community that's taking it on the chin. They go to that PTA meeting as members of a community that's taking care of business. And so they even act differently in the PTA meeting. When they run candidates from that zone, they fund them because they have the wherewithal to do so. So it becomes liberating, not only from a cultural perspective, or how you feel about it perspective. You know, it's a zone where we create jobs, we own real estate, and we get things done. And so we want to have those smaller communities duplicated throughout the African world, in this country and beyond. And so, you know, I'm not even sure why I went down that corridor, right down that lane, and I'm not sure the question that you first asked me. But I just wanted to paint that picture because sometimes we see a co-op business as an isolated business. It's never to be that.
Mm-hmm.
It's always with the knowledge that people in that community can be owners as well and will be owners, and that's a part of the mix. And there's a question that almost in every scenario people ask us. So you're thinking about the question goes to how are we going to protect the businesses that we build? Well, part of the answer is in its DNA. You know, you think when you begin to build it, you know from day one that there's credible opposition, and you've got to succeed in that hostile environment. But here's the point I want to make. When we witness rebellions in the 60s and 70s, and then in the current phase after the murder of our youth, you'll very often hear commentators on the news say, well, why would they destroy their own community? Well, we don't see it. Our youth don't see it as our own community. We don't own those stores. We don't own the real estate. We may do business in one or two of them. But, it's where we live. It's where we hang out. But we don't own it. So from the standpoint of security and protection, what happens when those youth now know with a certainty that that's their turf, that that's their community? They will deal with it differently, and they will have an instinct to protect it and to defend it as well. And we want to cultivate that in the minds and hearts of our people as we build economically and politically and culturally.
Thank you for that, Baba Hakima. And in the 8 minutes that we have remaining in the first half, go ahead and give us that contact information, because what you laid out is just so very powerful for our family. And again, I hope that they got the breadth and depth as well as the magnitude of your words tonight. Go ahead and give us that contact information and break down again the different aspects of membership that we have. How do brothers and sisters join? What are the requirements for membership? What are the restrictions on membership in the 7 minutes now that we have remaining?
Okay. Well, the website is where everything starts, of course. usliftingus.com. usliftingus.com. And, of course, that name is appropriate because we know that no one's going to lift us but us. Us lifting us. Our email address is info@usliftingus. And if you want to speak with us by phone, 404-592-2780. 404-592-2780. And don't be hesitant about giving us a call. We'd love to speak with you. From our website, on our homepage, if you have an interest in becoming a member, click Join, and you would fill out the application for membership and submit it. There is a $50 charge for processing your membership, and you would do that simply by clicking Pay/Contribute. You can also do it through the mail. There's when you click Join, if you choose to, there's a paper application that you can print out, and you can send a personal check or money order with that. Once we receive your application and the $50 payment, we will reach out to you and do an interview and make sure that you are who you say you are, and also give you an opportunity to ask additional information. Even when brothers and sisters are excited about becoming a member, and they do, they still have additional questions. So we want to establish, a relationship, an exchange, so that our brothers and sisters feel comfortable about asking additional questions, because there are a lot of moving parts in ULU, and you will naturally have questions. One of the things we are serious about is keeping what we build in the hands of our people. And so from the beginning, we are upfront and having members affirm that they are descendants, persons of Black African descent. I think that's the way the language goes. Mm-hmm. And part of the application is a person has to affirm that, and in terms of the agreement. There are other things that happen later on where we have measures in our operating agreement that help us maintain what we build in our hands. And so we can talk about that at another time. We want our members, as quickly as they can after they join, to become a member of the ULU community. We have a separate environment where our members build their own personal pages or their organizational pages, and they build their profiles, they upload videos, they upload photos, they talk about themselves, they can blog, they can email each other, and begin to exchange with brothers and sisters in the community. Not all of them in the U.S., so they're all around. And we want to continue to build that and have that community to be vibrant, this online ULU community. And it's closed. If you're not a member, you can't get in there, and you can't communicate with the people in there. It's strictly a closed community. That essentially is it. We also want our members to help us build, to share the information about this call every Thursday, and we encourage brothers and sisters to bring people back to this call with you. Three-way a friend onto the call. Some some members do a group thing where they invite people to come together. They listen to the call on the speakerphone. After the call, they do, a discussion. They develop questions and send them in and ask questions of us that are serious and impactful. And so the website, of course, is, again, usliftingus.com. And we're here every Thursday evening at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. And but these calls are archived. For instance, the call this evening, you can go back to Motherland Media on Blog Talk Radio, and you can listen to the recording. You can forward it to other individuals. This evening, we're going to start something new. Shortly after our broadcast this evening, we're going to actually broadcast the recording back out to our email list through email. And so you can simply click onto the link and begin to listen. But you could also forward the recording of this evening's call to brothers and sisters that you'd like to inform about the process. So usliftingus.com and the phone number 404-592-2780. Anything else, Brother DJ? It looks like we're right on top of the hour.
Yeah, we're right there. And again, family, we thank you for tuning in, and certainly thank you to Baba Hakima for giving us all of that valuable information, not only informing us but also inspiring us. And again, family, you can get that information at usliftingus.com, or you can shoot us an email at info@usliftingus.com. So again, the website is usliftingus.com for any and all information relative to the cooperative formation. And we highly encourage you to check out our website, go through the presentation so that, again, you can be informed on what ULU is designed to do for yourself, your family, and your community. We're going to go ahead and take a short break, family, and when we come back on the other side, we'll be joined by 2 additional board members who will walk us through a document called the 10-Point Appeal and Plan for the New Black Economy. So, again, stay tuned. When we come back on the other side, we'll be going right into our 10-Point Appeal and Plan conversation. Stay tuned. All right, family, and we're back, and we're joined by Sister Nanana and Baba Thurman. Greetings. How y'all doing?
Greetings. I am doing quite well, Brother DJ. And how about yourself?
Oh, I'm outstanding. Good to hear your voice. You there, Baba Thurman?
Yes, I am. Greetings, Brother DJ and Sister Nanana.
Greetings to you, Brother Thurman. Always good to be co-hosting with you. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you. And so, family, Brother Thurman and Sister Nanana are going to walk us through our 10-point appeal and plan for the new black economy. Take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Brother DJ, for the excellent first hour that you, and also thank Baba Hakima, and some very good discussion and points that you all brought tonight. Could continue on for another hour or two. So much there. And so we want to thank all of the members that are listening from around the world, and thank all of the new people that are on the call. And we certainly ask you to participate in this call, listen, take notes, call in and ask questions and participate. And do make sure that in the second hour, member training and orientation with a focus, part of the focus will be on the 10-point appeal and plan. And if you are new to the call and you do not have the 10-point appeal and plan, please go to usliftingus.com on the internet, usliftingus.com. That's our webpage, and when it opens up, the 10-point appeal and plan will be right there for you to look at it, and you can follow it. And we do ask that later, outside of this call, that you would please, if you have not taken a good look at our website and the web page, and there's also a presentation on there, but we urge you very much to take a look at the website and go through the presentation and take notes and look at all of the information that's there, so that you can really have a good feel for what Us Lifting Us is all about. And as I said, please participate When we come, we're here every Thursday night, and we're here from 9 until 11. And so in both hours, we ask you to participate, take notes, and call in with your comments and questions and tell us what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and ask the hard questions. The telephone number is 319-527-6202, 319-527-6202. Before we get started and move forward with the 10-point appeal and plan, Sister Nanana, have you got something that you want to express, something that needs to be added to the beginning of this call?
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity, Brother Thurman. I would first of all say welcome to all of our listening audience. Thank you for tuning in and being with us as we continue to enlighten ourselves and to educate ourselves around ULU and all of the potential that it has. And I also want to extend a really heartfelt thank you to Baba Hakima and to Brother DJ for all of the excellent information that was transmitted during the first hour. Very, very beneficial and enlightening, especially around the whole concept of understanding that economics, politics, and culture are all connected, and the importance of us being able to see that connection and to understand that the survival and the ability to control one is connected to the other two. So all three of those are very vital to us continuing and to not just surviving, but to actually starting to thrive within our communities. So I was very appreciative of having that concept being presented in the first hour.
I definitely agree with you on that. You're so right.
All right. So with that said, I'll give the floor back to you, Brother Thurman, and we can move ahead with your guidance.
Okay. Thank you so much. Family members, make sure that you've got the phone number 319-527-6202, 319-527-6202. And please call and participate. And when you are ready to ask a question and you have a comment, just press 1 on your telephone, and that will put you in the queue and you will be recognized. And so we're going to go forth delving into the 10-point appeal and plan for the new black economy and other relevant conversations that we may get into tonight as we move through this hour. And so to get started, the ULU 10-point appeal and plan for the new black economy. Current events and the general unrest of the times call for radical change. The following points provide practical and necessary steps for a new and positive existence for us today and for future generations. And ideally, you've gone to the website usliftingus.com so that you can see the 10-point plan and appeal, and you also would be able to copy it and print it off and to review it certainly more than one time and to pass it on to your family and to all of your network. Point number 1, as black people, we take full responsibility for the economic destiny of our communities and nations. Number 2, black persons and black institutions, especially the black church, join together as members in a large-scale, cooperatively owned business enterprise to pool our resources. Point 3, this cooperatively owned business enterprise is reflective of our unique culture and interests in the world. Point number 4, the governance and legal form of the cooperative accommodate democratic principles, one member, one vote with elected leadership. Point number 5, only members of the cooperative and not the public have the opportunity to secure ownership units, equity in the business enterprise, with the potential to amass billions of dollars for community development. Point number 6, the cooperative focuses on opening and operating businesses in local communities that, 1, provide needed goods and services, 2, create new jobs, 3, stimulate additional business activity, and 4, yield a fair profit. Point number 7, the cooperative is driven to duplicate and expand into hundreds and eventually thousands of businesses, all owned and controlled by the collective. Point number 8, the net profits from overall cooperative success are used to, 1, reinvest, 2, for the distribution of grants and endowments, and 3, direct returns, dividends, to member owners of the cooperative. Number 9, the large-scale cooperatively owned, group-owned business enterprise functions as a catalyst and central element in building and sustaining the new Black economy, one that gives power to our people. Point number 10, Us Lifting Us Economic Development Cooperative, LLC, serves as the aforementioned model. Special note, these 10 points form the basis for Black economic empowerment. The security and welfare of our people starts with our determination to control the economics of our communities and nations. Black people and Black people alone hold the key to the gateway leading to their freedom. And this is from the Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, 1923. And so tonight our focus is point number 10, and we will delve into that. And once again, please make sure that we ask family members that you please participate. We must participate with each other. And to take control economically is something that we must do in this economic world so that we will not forever be at the mercy of others. The telephone number is 319-527-6202, 319-527-6202, and press 1 when you've got comments or questions so that you would be put in the queue and you could be on the air live with us right here tonight. Sister Nanani, before we get started with any of our first thoughts and questions, anything you'd like to share?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Brother Thurman. The one thing that I would share at this point is just a couple of more comments around the structure and the intent of this second hour of the call that we have. This is intended for member training and education. One of the things that is absolutely vital in developing and in delving into and participating in a co-op culture is to really truly understand basic foundational pieces of cooperative economics. And so in this second hour, we do encourage the listeners to have pen and paper ready to take notes and to open your minds to perhaps some concepts and thoughts that you may not have been exposed to before, and also to be receptive to understanding the 10-point appeal and plan as being the basic foundational pieces of ULU, that these are the segments that really determine and direct how ULU is structured, what its goals and missions are, and actually how ULU is going about accomplishing those goals and missions. And we feel that it's important for members to have that knowledge and that information to really be able to take part in truly being owners. This is part of being an owner of a business, is understanding the actual structure of it. So I just wanted to add that comment before we move forward. And so let's go ahead and proceed, Brother Thurman.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. So, Sister Nanana, give your thoughts on what does point 10, what does it mean to you? What is it saying in more detail?
Wow, that's all encompassing. Number 10, if I can just take a minute to repeat it, Us Lifting Us Economic Development Cooperative, LLC, serves as the aforementioned model. What number 10 is about is referring back to all of the other 9 building blocks, the other 9 points that have been stated in the 10-point plan and appeal, and indicating that this is actually a legally structured solution and plan for us to move forward as a community, as families, as people of Black African descent, to move forward and to claim what is ours in terms of being economically sound, being financially sound, which then in turn makes it possible for us to preserve our culture and to meet all of our needs and to live comfortably. So it refers back to looking at all of these other 9 pieces and understanding that this is the model. In other words, this is the ticket. This is what we need to do. Cooperative economics is what is the appropriate step for us to take right now. In the environment that we're in, to ensure that we have success and that our success becomes perpetual, that it is passed on generationally on into infinitum. So that's what we're talking about here, is the actual structure and legal model as has been illustrated in all of these 9 points. So it's just that last point brings everything together, and once we start to really grasp that and start participating in that plan, then that's what brings us to the point where we have power. And having a strong economy is a basis for power. We, in fact, do not have control, cannot influence politics unless we have power. And power is having financial or strong economic base. We have little ability to preserve our culture and to pass that on to our children unless we have power, and power comes through a strong financial base, which in turn helps us preserve our families. So it's all tied in together. It's all tied in together. Yeah. And so those are my thoughts on point 10, Brother Thurman. Do you have any comments or any thoughts that you'd want to add to that?
Well, I'm in agreement with what you said, and I urge the family members to make sure that you've got the 10-point appeal and plan in front of you. And it is point number 10 is a summary of the 9, as you said, and just to go back and as you're listening out there in the listening audience, there's just a lot of there to define what this ULU model is in these 10 points. And what Brother DJ, do we have any callers on the line? And anyone that's listening, just press 1 to put you in the queue to be on the call with us. And once again, the number is 319-527-6202. And so I was good. Brother DJ, are you there? And so maybe he'll come. He might have his phone on mute. I'm not sure.
Yes, so, I did. Yeah, I did have it on mute. We don't have any callers at this time.
Okay. Yes. And so, Sister Nana, I'm glad that you already delved into and started addressing the subject of power, and I was going to bring that up. But getting back to the summary of the point 10 is you can just go from 1 to 9, and just so many things that we must do that it is bringing attention to, like taking full responsibility. And there's our progress that our people must make, and that ULU is the model that's leading us to take full responsibility of our economic destiny, and we are only failing because we have not taken full responsibility. And when we do that, many things will change, and many of them will change dramatically. And so our people are being abused in many, many ways, including their interactions with businesses in our community that are not owned and operated by us. And when we have it in our mind that we're going to take full responsibility, there wouldn't be a lot of fussing and arguing with people that have mistreated us, disrespected us. We would just take full responsibility and immediately be a part of this cooperative model and open up the businesses that's needed in our community to supply us with the things that we need to live, that would be owned and operated and controlled by us. And it goes on in the ULU model, in the cooperative model. Not only we have the businesses, but we will be employing our people. And all of this is part of that 10-point appeal and plan.
Mm-hmm.
And is there any thing else that you wanted on the subject of power? Is there any other points that you want to address, like what it actually looks like? I think you touched on that already.
Something that has come to mind for me that I could add to that. When I think in terms of power, I think in terms of the ability to actually influence circumstances, situations. I think of the ability to exert a meaningful or significant level of control within the spectrum of factors that influence my life and the life of others around me. I also think in terms of safety and welfare, basic safety and welfare, which you did mention, Brother Thurman, in the special note that you read with the comments from Marcus Garvey. He talked about the security and welfare of our people starts with our determination to control the economics of our communities. So, let's think about where we are right now in terms of safety and welfare. Most people I judge within many black communities would indicate that they do not feel safe, and that taking care of basic needs, their basic welfare, is a constant struggle. And so when I think about power, I think about having the ability to ensure through economics that we do have the level of safety within our communities, and that our basic welfare of our people is taken care of and provided for. So this is the kind of power position that ULU is offering, that ULU, the structure of the ULU economic plan brings forward for us through the things that it provides, the jobs that will be provided, the sense of not only just the sense of ownership, but the actual ownership of businesses, providing our youth with positive perspectives for the future moving forward. All of that is part of the design to give us the wherewithal that we need to literally take charge of ourselves. And so all of that is within the realm of how I perceive power.
I agree. Ashe, very good. Mm-hmm. And family members, we must focus on all that you just heard. It's very necessary for our survival. And if we don't do it, no one else will do it. Please call in. The number is 319-527-6202, 319-527-6202, and press 1 on your phone so that you will be in the queue, and we can communicate about us lifting us and with your questions or comments. Sister Nanana, that we could continue on. There's a lot to say about that subject of power and how it what it looks like. And as you were talking, I was just thinking about the jobs and just how it would feel for us to have our own cooperative businesses, and how it would feel that when we are member owners, number one, but in the various businesses, those of us that would be employed in those businesses, then we get an additional benefit by being a member owner and a worker. But just the feeling of coming into a business model, a business place, that you are a member owner and you also are a member owner worker, and you're there as a worker, but you also have a say-so, and also not subject to the kind of environment and the harassment that our people have experienced for many, many generations in this land, working in businesses not owned and controlled by us. And when you mentioned security, I even thought about there are other communities right here in this country that they have businesses that they're making lots and lots of money off of our people, And in their communities, they are even have formed their own police and security departments where the police, as we know it, interact very little in their community because it's not necessary, because they have the resources, they have the power, and they are controlling those things. And so just imagine that we have that kind of. Was that someone say something? Okay. I thought maybe I heard Brother DJ. That's why I hesitated. And so,
that may have been me, Brother Thurman. I was just agreeing with you as you were commenting. Sorry, I didn't mean to interject and interrupt you. As we're having our conversation here, I was just agreeing with you. That's all.
Yeah, and I was about to finish up to say that just imagine, and see, we need to imagine what it would be like when we have power and control of our communities and power and control of our economics, and with our own police force. Then, just imagine the vast difference it would be if you were. As a courtesy, one of our security people pulled us over just to let you know that you need to have a tail light replaced. But you would be just in complete comfort that that you could lose your life just over what a real genuine courtesy stop is. And we could go on and on about this power. So family members, just feel what we are talking about here. Make sure that you go back over the 10-point appeal and plan. But this is what we must do, and we deserve it for us and for the babies, and to leave a legacy for the babies. Sister Nanana, is there some other points describe the co-op culture? Have you got some points on that?
Well, yes, I can certainly comment on that, and even preceding that, I think it's important to understand actually how ULU works.
Yes.
To just some of the basic structure of it. That ULU is a for-profit, member-owned cooperative. It is a for-profit, member-owned cooperative. That it has a legal structure that it is designed under, that allows for the actual pooling of money from the members in order to create businesses. So ULU takes the money that members provide and uses that to build the businesses. So we are not borrowing money in ULU. The next thing that happens is looking for or identifying goods and services. In other words, identifying what areas these businesses need to be focused in. What are actual needed goods and services in our community and possibly outside of our community that other customers would purchase for us. And the way that this provides benefit to the owner members is, first of all, through the actual salaries that the member owners will receive, and these salaries will be well above what might be referred to as minimum wage, because we know that the minimum wage is not a living wage. It really isn't. Also, there would be a profit, which would be paid out to the member owners, as well as an opportunity for bonuses. And so there are three ways that member owners are provided financial remuneration within the ULU process. So I think it's important to understand that structure is there. As far as the actual co-op culture is concerned, there are a couple of pieces in the co-op culture that I think are absolutely vital. One of them is around understanding the family component of the co-op culture, that it is designed in such a way to help to nurture and ensure that the basic family structure within our Black communities does survive, that children have a comfortable home to be brought up in, that they have all of their basic needs met, and that they see ULU as a desirable place for them to be in the future, that they know that place is there waiting for them. In other words, they are getting their educations. They may be going to college or other forms of education, but whatever it is that they're doing, they know that they have a place where they can exercise that creativity. The other thing I would say about the co-op culture is that for us to really be a part of the co-op culture, you have to want to be in the company of other people of Black African descent and have a level of commitment to that community. Some people refer to it as being Black on purpose. And so you have to kind of, be able to get up in the morning and look in the mirror and really be about the business of embracing who you are and moving forward with that. So that's what I would say about the co-op culture. And I'm going to suggest that at this point, Brother DJ, that we may want to check back, Brother Thurman, that we may want to check back with Brother DJ to see if there's anyone holding on the line. I'm thinking in particular that we may have our guest for our members spotlight tonight may have called in. If not right at this moment, he should be calling in the near future, and that we can go ahead and welcome him.
Yes, he's on the line, Sister Nana, and his line is open. 4457. Your line is open.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Brother Thurman, this is Lanana, DJ. Greetings. Greetings. This is Brother Abiodun. Is that? That's me.
That's
in New York City.
We are so happy to have you, Brother Abiodun. We really are. And where are you calling in from?
I'm in New York City.
You are in New York City.
Yes, ma'am. The Big Apple.
The Big Apple. Wonderful. And thank you so much for taking part in our member spotlight segment this evening. We really appreciate having you with us and having you share with us. And would like to start out by having you share with the listening audience how long you've been a member of ULU and what attracted you to become a member of ULU, to take part in this cooperative venture. Can you speak to that, please?
Certainly. Certainly. It's coming close to 2 years. I was following Brother Hakima's involvement in the African Community Center movement. And somewhere in there, I stumbled on the interest in co-oping. And I right away said, oh, that sounds familiar. Maybe I should send him this file that I have, not knowing whether he was already aware of the file or not, but I sent it to him, and it would concern the Mogrican people. And that opened up a rapport of he and I talking with each other online, that is to say, talking or on the phone. And, we were into rapport because we're separate ships, but we were coming from the same place, at least emotionally and strategically. So shortly thereafter, I was able to join, and I haven't regretted it for a moment. And I wanted to add, however, while listening to you, Sister Lanana, just now talking about the ins and outs of culture and what have you, I want to tighten up on that language a little bit, if you don't mind.
Please do.
Okay, thank you. We have an issue amongst our people, mostly here in North America, but it's all over the world. It's something that I call mental hygiene. Dr. Francis Cress-Welsing spoke on it. Dr. Joy DeGrease in Northwest, she speaks on it. And I'm just going to address it briefly because I'm not a professional like they are. But mental hygiene is a serious issue, and it's the outgrowth of the way we've been shuffled around like subhumans by various powers that be for what seems like all time. It's at least 300-400 years that we've been shuffled around like this. If we were not dragged away in ships that saw the cascade of mental instability, it was having to flee into the night to get away from the oppressors, never able to reconstitute our families again, which caused a separate individual kind of cascade. It may not have been as severe, but it's a cascade nevertheless. Insofar as the people that arrived over here on the Atlantic side of the cascade, to find yourself beaten and disgraced and kept naked and not allowed to speak your language, not allowed to refuse male sexual prowess, and not being allowed to raise your own children the way you see fit, continues the mental hygiene issue. And I dare say the mental hygiene issue is with us up until this very moment, to the point where I may be exaggerating somewhat, but I'm not exaggerating much when I say that many of us do not even want to turn on the bathroom light when we go into the bathroom. That's how much we try to avoid our image in the mirror. Okay. Now, as a result, designing programs that deal with our economics is critically important, but it needs to be bound together with that kind of glue that deals with mental hygiene as well. So that when you envision a black man or woman having a loving relationship, it's not about hands on the hips and yelling at each other and stressing each other to the point that our children don't even realize that this is supposed to be a loving relationship. And they think that is what love is, yelling at each other or beating each other. There needs to be peace. There needs to be accommodation. There needs to be equal time spent as teaching the children as hothouse plants. They're covered one day by the father, the next couple of hours by the mother, the next couple of hours by the father again, and sharing that responsibility back and forth in a loving way. Okay? And we can do this when you add the economics to it. The economics means that if we're talking about a shopkeeper, the shopkeeper knows that he not only has goods to sell, but his goods have to be displayed neatly. The sidewalks have to be cleaned or washed down regularly. The glass has to be cleaned and washed down regularly. This creates an environment where people want to come and shop in his shop. It's another form of mental hygiene. Next of all, mental hygiene could also be constructed in a tribal context whereby if our people begin to think of themselves like sororities or fraternities, so that the upper levels of the sorority or fraternity are recruiting lower levels as apprentices, and I'm not talking about all that hazing stuff you see on television, but we're talking about building relationships where the youngsters revere and respect the elders because they have something to learn, and they're loved and respected. And it's a two-way street, back and forth. The children are getting love and protection. The elders are getting love and protection. The community is giving love and protection. The community is getting love and protection. That's love. That would end. Over time, that would end the mental hygiene issue.
Well, I certainly appreciate all of the comments that you're making around the mental hygiene issue, and certainly I can see how that would be. It's definitely an influencing factor when you think about culture. And, you know, we were talking about the co-op culture and how that culture is different from the culture of the economics that we've been exposed to, which is basically capitalism. And I think that we can easily see that the co-op culture for us is a lot healthier and is much more in tune with what our cultural background is and what our needs are in our community to survive and to move forward. So the examples that you've given are right on target. We certainly have a lot to recover from. And by working in a cooperative economic environment, that's actually healing for us. I judge that is part of the healing that we must go through, is that we must get away from capitalism and put our effort and our initiative into co-opting. Brother, I'm sorry. Obiodun, yeah. Tell us a little bit about what it is that you do, what kind of things you're involved in.
Well, I've been sick for the last 3 years. I'm just coming out of recovery enough to try to get active again. So I'm trying to get together a career in writing. I may even be able to get DJ and Hakima to accept some of my commercial writings. We'll see how that goes. Or proposal writings or whatever. We'll see how that goes. And basically, you know, I'm kind of like trapped in a sense because I can't move around too much these days. I have to avoid stress and what have you. So I'm just trying to keep in touch with my old networks, which have to do with housing in the community here in New York. Affordable housing, so-called affordable housing, set-asides for poor people, which is mostly us, and that sort of thing. And that's how I build my network. But before that, since I'm a so-called senior citizen, I have run the gauntlet from, you know, the Million Man March to a whole lot of stuff I can no longer talk about on the telephone.
So it sounds to me that in a nutshell, we might place you in what can be referred to as the activist category, because it sounds to me like you have a history of being involved in several things that have contributed to our various movements and to helping us move forward culturally to reclaim ourselves. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I think that's why Brother Hakima and I click so quickly and so deeply. Although, like I said, we've never met face-to-face, and I try to not to go into too much detail on the telephone. But he picked up on some things with me, and I picked up on some things with him that caused us to go forward with the rapport. And
all right.
So, yes, I'm definitely interested in what ULU has to say and do. And although I can't say for a fact that I've contributed to anybody coming on the call, I know I have given out circulars. I've talked to people. I said, did you listen yet? I've talked to the people in North Carolina and other parts of Georgia. Did you listen to ULU yet? I've been on it, but I've just not been able to get around much. That's all. I'm not quite dead yet, but I'm not really at facility at this point.
Well, we really appreciate your support, and we do encourage the members of ULU to invite others to educate themselves concerning ULU, to look at the website, and certainly to come on board as members and to join us, which you have definitely done. One more thing that I'd invite you to comment on, since our subject tonight is on point 10 of the 10-point plan and appeal. I would invite you to, or give you this opportunity, any comments that you would like to make on point 10. Us Lifting Us Economic Development Cooperative, LLC, serves as the aforementioned model. Do you have any comments or thought that you would like to share with us on that?
Nothing more than I've already stated. That's what I'm saying. Point 10 needs to be embellished a little bit rhetorically, so that it includes these issues that we have with getting along with each other. There's too much tension and stress on minutia. There's a holy man from ancient Persia before the Prophet Muhammad who was quoted as saying around that time that once you know who you really are, you will never be disappointed again. This is our issue. ULU has to represent that issue without being from Persia.
All right. Thank you. I can really appreciate what you're saying. Once you know who you really are, you will never be disappointed again.
Exactamente.
I like that. And thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, brother, for coming on and being in the member spotlight and sharing with us. And I send you positive energy, and sounds to me like you're working on some health issues, and certain that a recovery is in process. But thank you for participating with us. And I think we've got about maybe 8 minutes left here. So, Brother Thurman, I'll thank you. I'll pass it back to you to see if you have any other comments or questions.
No, thank you all very much, and you all have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Yes, brother. Thank you, brother, so much for being on the call, and we definitely enjoyed and appreciate very deeply the things that you said, including about knowing yourself, and that subject of mental hygiene. That I'm sure that if he was on for an hour, he would have a whole lot to elaborate on that subject, and that's a very serious subject, and we must pay attention to it. And he laid out some examples of what that would look like, and we've got to tune into that and get open up our mind, and as he said about getting the minutia out of our thinking and out of our conversation. And definitely enjoyed it. And family members that's listening across this country and around the world, Africa, Caribbean, UK, and other parts of Europe and Asia, we want you to certainly be taking notes and take heed of the words that shared tonight. And also just keep in mind the beauty that was brought to the call when the brother was on, and that you, ULU members, and those that are about to join ULU, that we also welcome you to be a part of the member spotlight, because we must communicate with each other's minds, and we can always learn from each other, just as we have learned from Brother Abudun tonight. And Sister Nanana, we've got about 6 minutes. You've got some closing thoughts or anything that you've got on your mind you want to mention?
Well, one last thing that I would like to share, and I'll try to do it quickly. I think we've got maybe about 4 minutes left. We talked quite a bit about power. Power or perhaps the lack of power definitely affects us psychologically and emotionally. And Brother Obidun alluded to that when he talked about emotional hygiene. And so this whole piece around power and gaining power, ULU is the structure. It is the methodology. It is the process that will position us in such a way that we can have the power that we need in order to gain the security, the safety, and the welfare of our people, and that we can position ourselves in such a way that we can start to have more of a healthy emotional and psychological perspective. And so it's a healing process, and it's a process that will be healing for us, not only as individuals, but as families, as well as our entire community. So ULU really does have a tremendous amount to offer us by offering us cooperative economics in such a way that it's bringing it into reality and making it very real. Thank you.
All right, Sister Nanana, thank you. And thank you, Sister Nanana, Brother DJ, Baba Hakima, for participating on the call tonight. And we thank all of the family members that are listening around the world. And if you didn't call in and you have some comments or questions, you can email us at info@usliftingus.com. That's info@usliftingus.com. And you can also call Us Lifting Us. The telephone number is 404-592-2780. That's 404-592-2780. So if you have questions, comments, thoughts, and any thoughts that you can to bring forth to help us to grow together, you included, email us, call the Us Lifting Us phone number, and someone will give you a call back. And we're here every Thursday, and we need each other. We talked tonight quite a bit about power, and Sister Nanana also mentioned that we also have to certainly look at the effects of lack of power, and it's just essential that we get out of that lack of power, and the opportunity for power is there. It's not an illusion. We are here. There's millions of us around the world, and the opportunity is there right away, today, tomorrow, for us to come together, pool our resources, and ideally using the cooperative model that has so many benefits in comparison. It's the beneficial model. It is the way. It's the way of our ancestors, and it will take away, as was mentioned, about stress and our well-being. It would eliminate a whole lot of the stress that's involved in being a part and participating and working for in this capitalistic model. And so, family members, the time is about up. We urge you to go to the website, usliftingus.com, usliftingus.com, and do make sure that to the right, when you go to the home page, there's 3 videos. The top video, click on that and go through the Us Lifting Us presentation if you have not done so, and make sure that you take heed of all of the information there. And there's a slide that says telling us about making decisive action with our money. Sisters and brothers, we've got to do that. We've got to do that. And we've got to do, as Marcus Garvey said, never give your money away outside of your race before taking care of your own. So all of these places that we're giving our money away and not taking care of our own, we must stop that. We must stop that so that we can take control of the economics of our community and not be at the mercy of others. We're ending the call for the night. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to being with you next week, next Thursday. Peace.